Once, a devotee asked Sri Nanagaru. In the Ramayana, Gautama Maharishi cursed his wife Ahalya to turn into a stone. However, he also said that Ahalya would get back to her original form at the touch of Lord Rama's feet. So, how did Ahalya become free? Is it due to the boon of Gautama Maharishi or the touch of Lord Rama's feet? Sri Nanagaru replied, Gautama Maharishi visualized the future and narrated the same. Ahalya returned to her original form only due to the touch of Lord Rama's feet. When she returned to her original form, Ahalya said, O Rama, irrespective of whether I will get a human birth or an animal birth, please ensure that I will never forsake your feet.
A devotee said, Nanagaru, I possess all good habits except for the habit of playing cards. Sri Nanagaru replied, It's all right. Don't keep on brooding over that weakness. Even if the weakness within your thinking faculty has converted into the bad habit of playing cards, you cannot overcome the same by brooding repeatedly. Contemplate upon your personal God. It doesn't matter whether your personal God is Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, or Lord Venkateshwara. When you sin, instead of repeatedly thinking of it, it is better to contemplate upon your personal God. Only then you will be released from the result of committing that sin. Therefore, contemplate your personal God for at least a year without thinking about your weakness. You can then transcend your weakness of playing cards.
A devotee said, Occasionally, my mother gives me 10,000 rupees, but she always wants me to concede to her wishes. It is all right even if she doesn't give me those 10,000 rupees. But she expects me to sit, stand, and walk as per her will. She gives me money with some motive. Sri Nanagaru replied, In the Gita, Lord Krishna said, Do not depend upon others for the sake of your food and clothes. If you do so, it will lead to your slavery. At least earn to the extent that will suffice in fulfilling your basic needs like food and clothing.
Sri Nanagaru asked a devotee, What assets do you possess? The devotee gave an account of her houses, bank balance, farmlands, etc. Then Sri Nanagaru said, You must forget all these in order to attain self-realization.
A devotee's husband told Sri Nanagaru, These days, my wife attends your sermons very frequently. Our card game is proceeding without any interruption. My wife doesn't watch any films, but she would quarrel a lot if I got involved in playing cards. Previously, we used to quarrel a lot, but now, as she attends your sermons, we finish our card game by the time she returns home. Nanagaru, a lot of people benefit from your sermons. Referring to the above dialogue, Sri Nanagaru said, Everyone is concerned with their own world. The wife is fond of holy company, and the husband is fond of playing cards. Both their wishes are being fulfilled. We should not curse such people. Rather, we should pray to God to bestow them with good thinking faculty.
Sri Nanagaru asked a devotee, What curries did you cook today? While mentioning the curries she cooked, the devotee said, I have cooked 4 curries today. Then Sri Nanagaru said, Why do you need 4 curries? Isn't 1 curry enough? The devotee replied, Nanagaru, we are a joint family. If we cook 4 different varieties of curries, the children will eat according to their liking. Then Sri Nanagaru said, Yes. You are right. Even Lord Krishna mentioned 700 verses in the Gita, so that the spiritual aspirants can perform spiritual practices according to their mental makeup. 700 verses represent 700 different paths to attain self-realization.
A bank employee worked very hard and brought about the advancement of the bank that employed him. He retired while holding a senior position in the bank. Later, he came to Sri Nanagaru and said with great grief, "The current employees of the bank are ruining the bank." Sri Nanagaru replied consolingly, "It's all right. Now that you have retired, what can you do about it? Presume it to be similar to your children ruining your hard-earned money. Thinking thus, try to get rid of your anxiety." However, unable to get rid of his anxiety, the bank employee died of grief. Then Sri Nanagaru said, the bank employee considered himself the cause of his action. He considered that the bank progressed only because of his efforts. He did not realize that God is the cause of our actions. Therefore, he became anxious and died of grief.
Despite her best efforts, a devotee could not escape a particular hardship. When she was repenting for her failure, she happened to listen to an old cassette of Sri Nanagaru. Sri Nanagaru said, "If you are conversant with swimming, you can swim across a lake or a river. But can you swim across an ocean? No. When the destiny forcibly drives you forward, can you stop the same? No." Her sorrow subsided instantly as soon as the devotee heard these words. When the devotee narrated this to Sri Nanagaru said, "The old cassettes resemble the fresh milk found at the udder of the cow. They represent the heavens' Ganges. They are not adulterated. Since the devotees cannot digest it, we are currently mixing water in the form of stories and epics."
Once, Sri Nanagaru asked a devotee, "Did you forget the task that I wanted you to undertake?" The devotee replied, "No, Nanagaru. I did not forget it. I am waiting for the appropriate time." Referring to this, Sri Nanagaru said, "When a human being does not have forgetfulness, how can God have it? God is waiting for the appropriate time to mature you and thereby bestow you with liberation."
A doctor visited Sri Nanagaru, and while returning, he extended his hands toward Sri Nanagaru to bid him goodbye. Sri Nanagaru also extended his hands and said, "This is called a shake hand." The doctor walked up to the street end and again returned. He said, "I am experiencing indescribable bliss after your shake hand. If you continue doing such shake hands with everyone, beware your peace may diminish." Sri Nanagaru replied, "Self-knowledge and peace within the heart keep increasing as we distribute them. Therefore, my peace will keep on increasing but will never diminish."
Once, a devotee asked Sri Nanagaru, "Bhagavan has suggested the path of self-inquiry to control the mind. But despite making self-inquiry, my thoughts are not subsiding. They are increasing manifold." Sri Nanagaru replied, "You are trying to cling to a single sentence from Bhagavan and declare that you cannot control your mind. Even self-inquiry facilitates the destruction of the mind. However, Lord Krishna narrated several ways of destroying the mind in the Gita. Even if one possesses complete faith in the Lord, chants his name, performs japa or meditation, or surrenders himself to the feet of the Lord, the mind gets annihilated. Adopt the method that suits you the best and try to eradicate your mind.
Once, Sri Nanagaru said, "You are all performing 5 paisa worth of spiritual practices and making 95 paisa worth of advertisement. On doing so, you cannot attain self-realization." Having listened to this, a minister told Sri Nanagaru, "I have become a minister only on doing 5 paisa worth of work and 95 paisa worth of advertisement." Sri Nanagaru replied, "You are talking about politics. Don't mix the politics in this context. When you adopt the above methodology, your sattvic quality will not increase despite doing good work."
Once, a lady visited Sri Nanagaru and said, "My son is physically disabled and mentally retarded. He cannot get up from his bed. I have been looking after him to date. Now, I am almost 70 years old. I am not saying it is difficult for me to look after him now. But I am anxious about who will take care of him after my death. I am unable to overcome that anxiety." Sri Nanagaru replied, "God has already decided everything. It is bound to happen accordingly. Do not become anxious unnecessarily." After that lady left, Sri Nanagaru turned towards one of the devotees seated there and said, "That lady did not look after her in-laws in her previous birth despite being capable enough to do that. Therefore, she was forced to serve her son in this birth."
Once, an old lady said to Sri Nanagaru, "I have a problem with my husband. He does not take his food until I give it to him with my own hands. Even if my daughters-in-law are ready to serve him, he wants me alone to accomplish all his tasks. Now, both of us have become old. If I die before him, he will have to strive a lot. Therefore, he should die before me." After she left, Sri Nanagaru said, "Everything happens according to one's body's destiny. If not now, her desire will be fulfilled in some other birth. She will become a widow at a young age. Therefore, one should not desire anything but permit the body's destiny to take its course."
On the death of his only son, a doctor said, "Nanagaru, I am no more interested in continuing with my medical practice. I will put an end to my earnings. I will remove my nameplate as a doctor." Sri Nanagaru replied, "Even I am like your son. Please continue with your medical practice, at least for my sake." The doctor then kept quiet and did not respond. Referring to him, Sri Nanagaru said, "The doctor's love is still limited. It has not become universal yet. We must gradually try to extend the boundaries of our love."
Once, a person visited Sri Nanagaru. He has made great progress in his material life. He was greatly honored in society. However, he told Sri Nanagaru, "I am being adequately honored, but I am unable to transcend my desire and anger. Moreover, my sons, daughters-in-law, daughters, and grandchildren are all well settled. I cannot stop being happy whenever I am reminded of it. I know I should not be elated, but I cannot stop myself from being so. Today, they are all right, but tomorrow, if they face any financial or social trouble, I am bound to become sorrowful. Isn't it true, Nanagaru?" Referring to that person, Sri Nanagaru said, "When happiness is dependent upon external causes, it is bound to convert into sorrow. His happiness is dependent upon his children's happiness. Therefore, it might convert into sorrow if his children become sorrowful. Sri Nanagaru indicated that both happiness and sorrow are obstacles to attaining self-realization.
A devotee, who was more than 60 years old, came to Sri Nanagaru. He said, "My parents are very old and don't have any more desire to live. When I informed them about my plan to visit you, they asked me to request you to lead them in the right direction." Sri Nanagaru said, "Please tell them from my end that no one should ever think of the following two. 1. I should die soon. 2. I should live for a long duration. Such thinking will lead towards our rebirth and thereby our bondage."
Once, Sri Nanagaru was beside the telephone. When the phone started ringing, Sri Nanagaru received the call. The person who called introduced himself and said he wanted to speak to Sri Nanagaru. Sri Nanagaru handed over the phone to a nearby devotee and gestured him to lie that Sri Nanagaru was not at home. When the devotee put down the phone, Sri Nanagaru said, "The person who called me now has no other work. He is asking me for donations daily. Please don't think otherwise for having asked you to utter lies. They are constantly asking me for political donations. I don't have any bad intentions in uttering lies. Even he is not a bad man. If our donation causes us disturbance, it cannot be called a donation in a true sense. We must not donate to ineligible people."
Once, Sri Nanagaru asked a devotee, "What is wrong with your wife? Why doesn't she get up from the bed?" The devotee replied, "I took her to several doctors. All of them have insisted that her only disease is eating her stomach full and sleeping to her heart's content. One is food and the second is sleep. Nanagaru, you visited our house several times. Did you ever see my wife working? When we eat stomach full, how can we prevent the sleep?" Referring to the above dialogue, Sri Nanagaru said, "Even while performing spiritual practices, excessive eating will lead us to sleep. Therefore, one should eat and sleep moderately to continue spiritual practices."
A doctor in Hyderabad conducted a cataract surgery on Sri Nanagaru's eyes. He told Sri Nanagaru, "I am doing this surgery only for my satisfaction and not for the sake of money." The doctor was trained in the famous Aurobindo Hospital of Madurai. He asked Sri Nanagaru to sleep on the bed. After 3 minutes, he requested Sri Nanagaru to get up. The patient is usually given anesthesia before the commencement of the surgery. So, Sri Nanagaru was under the impression that he was being given anesthesia. Sri Nanagaru then asked the doctor, "What is this? Did you finish giving me anesthesia?" The doctor replied, "We are done with the anesthesia and the surgery too. Now you can get up from the bed." Referring to this, Sri Nanagaru said, "This is called yoga. Working skillfully, tolerantly, and tactfully is called yoga. Working without any expectation of results is called yoga. Working without doership is also called yoga."
A devotee asked Sri Nanagaru, "You have said, bear injury and bear insult, even that is a part of sadhana or spiritual practices. But practically, bearing insult is not as easy as it is said." Sri Nanagaru replied, "The scriptures declare, bear insult, even that is a part of sadhana. It is because the Guru's grace showers more upon those who patiently forbear the insult than those who react instantly. If you accept the insult patiently, your depths of tolerance will increase. It will, in turn, introvert your mind. This disgrace did not fall upon you without the knowledge of God. If you think God has blessed you with this disgrace only to teach you some lesson, or rectify some flaw within your thinking faculty, you can endure the insult patiently. You must realize that you could have insulted someone similarly in one of your previous births. Hence, you reap the fruit according to the seed you have sown. Only then will you be able to forbear the insult. If you insult anyone, remember that you will be cleansing them of their impurity, dirt, and sins. That dirt, impurity, and sins will settle in your mind, and an equivalent amount of your merit will be transferred to them.
An old man showed Sri Nanagaru a letter he received from his son. The son got married 4 years back. The son asked the old man in the letter, "When will you vacate the room?" It implied that the son was asking his father when he was going to die. Referring to this, Sri Nanagaru said, "How can the room get vacated without the old man's death? God gifts the lifespan. What can the old man do about it? Don't ever expect that your children will look after you. This is the dark age. Body-mindedness and ignorance are rampant in this age. Practice dispassion by constantly contemplating. No one belongs to anyone. Not all children will behave like this. But you should not have any expectations. If you possess expectation, you are bound to get disappointment."
A devotee told Sri Nanagaru, "Previously, I questioned you and then carried back your grace in the form of your answers. Now, I will not ask you anything further. I will accept whatever you will grant me graciously." Then Sri Nanagaru replied, "Grace is unseen and unheard. It is an automatic divine action."
A 25-year-old girl posed a question to Sri Nanagaru in writing. She asked, "Why do bad people exist in this world? Why do they subject the good people to suffering? How should the good people tolerate them? Please direct me towards the path of reducing the sorrow." Sri Nanagaru replied, "Both good and bad people are needed in this society. Both the mouth as well as the anus is equally important in the human body. If the mouth consumes the food and grants energy to the body, the anus excretes the filth within the body and protects its health. Similarly, the bad people in society increase the goodness and tolerance of the good people. These good people very soon turn out to be Mahatmas. As the Mahatmas tolerate the ill deeds of the bad people, their very existence makes society very healthy. The Mahatmas' very sight, touch, preaching, and existence help establish the universal peace. The Mahatmas take birth to direct several jivas from ignorance towards self-knowledge. Therefore, enduring bad people's ill deeds will increase our purity and introvert our mind.
O Nana, O Nana, O Nana, నీ హృదయం వెన్నా అమృతం కన్నా అది ఎంతో మిన్నా. ఓ నాన్నా, నీ హృదయం వెన్నా అమృతం కన్నా అది ఎంతో మిన్నా ఓ నాన్నా ఓ నాన్నా ఆత్మ బాటలో నీవు నడిచావు పరమాత్మవై ఎదుట నిలిచావు ఆత్మ బాటలో నీవు నడిచావు పరమాత్మవై ఎదుట నిలిచావు ఊరూరు తిరిగావు ఇంటింట నడిచావు ఊరూరు తిరిగావు ఇంటింట నడిచావు జ్ఞానామృతం మాకు పంచావు జ్ఞానామృతం మాకు పంచావు ఓ నాన్నా ఓ నాన్నా మనసు లేని చోట నీవు ఉన్నావు మంచి మాటలెన్నో మాకు చెప్పావు మనసు లేని చోట నీవు ఉన్నావు మంచి మాటలెన్నో మాకు చెప్పావు నీ ప్రేమ గుణమే మా మూలధనము నీ ప్రేమ గుణమే మా మూలధనము నీవే మా పాలి దైవము నీవే మా పాలి దైవము ఓ నాన్నా నీ హృదయం వెన్నా అమృతం కన్నా అది ఎంతో మిన్నా ఓ నాన్నా ఓ